Hey, how's it going? Thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're diving into a serial killer case that rocked California in the 1990s. Curious? Relax. Don't stress out just yet. So, we're talking about a case involving an Indonesian who really made waves in the US. Now, Indonesia is known for being a predominantly Muslim country that's peaceful and loving. But guess what? It's also got a brutal case that might make you think, wait, how did this guy end up killing more than 2 people? Isn't Indonesia all about peace and love? This story's going to reveal a dark side that's definitely shocking. So if you're curious, let's dive into this video. We're going to talk about Harnoko Dewantoro, or better known as Oki Harnoko Dewantoro, an Indonesian who was born on November 3, 1964 in Jakarta. Oki is the child of Hendarno Hendarmin, a big shot at Bank Indonesia, and Sekartini Hadijaya, who worked at Bank Bumidaya. So his parents were definitely part of Indonesia's elite, though they're now more known as top dogs steering the country's economy. Despite coming from a well-off family, Oki's parents ended up divorcing. Growing up in a broken home, Oki faced a lot of challenges, and by the late 1980s, he decided to move to the US. Oki initially went to school in Kansas, but before settling in Los Angeles, he bounced around Pennsylvania. Once he got to LA, he moved from North Hills to Northridge, and finally to Orange County. Now, on August 10, 1994, someone we'll call Joe thought they hit the jackpot when they got news from the U-Haul self-storage on Parthenia Street in Los Angeles. Joe was told they won an auction and got a rental unit in block 18100, a storage space that had been vacant for a while. That day, Joe went to check out the unit, and as soon as they opened the rolling door, they were hit by an awful, overpowering stench. Curious, Joe started searching for the source of the smell and finally found a big box in the corner of the unit. That was the culprit of the terrible odor that made their mouth go dry. Just imagine, the smell of rotting animal flesh is already gross, but this, well, it was more like a mix between rotten meat and poop, causing some serious distress. Ugh, so creepy.
Don't miss this exciting story. Watch this video until the end to get all the surprising detail. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss out on any other interesting videos. Join our community and enjoy various exciting stories every week.
So Joe, being super curious, starts checking out the storage unit. They quickly open the box they found earlier, and that's when a terrible smell hits them. It's like the smell of fingers that haven't been washed in ages. Inside the box, there are layers of plastic wrap all taped up with black duct tape. Joe's curiosity grows, so they start unwrapping the plastic. When one of the wrappings comes off, Joe is stunned. Their voice trembles as they see what's inside. It's a human body. Imagine stumbling upon a DIY coffin in a storage unit. Freaked out and panicked, Joe rushes to the storage office to report their find. The storage manager, getting the scoop from Joe, quickly contacts the local police. Not long after, LAPD and forensic teams show up. While investigating, they find 2 more boxes of the same size. When opened, these boxes also contain layers of plastic wrap, just like the first one Joe found. Inside, the police discover 3 decaying bodies. Wow, not just the boxes, but the contents are layered too. The cops suspect the bodies are murder victims, given their state. They also think the bodies were hidden in the boxes to avoid detection. Talk about keeping it under wraps to a whole new level. Initially, it's tough for the police to ID the bodies, but soon enough they find clues from the storage manager in the form of 2 checks used to pay for the storage. These checks were issued by Bank Bumidaya in Indonesia, made out to Kartini from Jakarta. So here's a plot twist. Checks from Jakarta to rent a place in LA. Turns out the storage unit was rented twice, first from December 13 to 30, 1991, under the name Tri Harto Darmawan, and then from February 11 to April 12, 1992, under the name Samir Tawakal. With this info, the police start looking for Tri Harto Darmawan, who, surprise, surprise, has been reported missing. The police got wind that Harry had a brother named Harnoko Dewantoro, or Oki for short, who also lived in the Los Angeles area. As the investigation into the 3 bodies continued, forensic teams eventually identified them a month later. They were Kuras Gobin Berkandani, 40 years old, Gina Sultan Aswar, 30 years old, and Tri Harto Darmawan, 26 years old. The shocking fact emerged that Triharto Darmawan, the last victim, was listed as the storage unit renter and was also Oki's brother. After that, the police tried to track down Oki, and local media in the US started referring to him as Harnoko Dewantoro. Detectives interviewed Oki's co-workers and acquaintances in LA, and one of them said they'd last seen Oki in February 1993. Knowing that Oki was an Indonesian citizen, the police suspected he might have returned to Indonesia, possibly using a fake identity. This suspicion was backed up by Oki's connection to the 3 bodies found in the storage unit. The LAPD then teamed up with Interpol, who coordinated with the Indonesian National Police in Jakarta. LAPD also sent detectives Tabal and Red Emiras to Jakarta to work with Indonesian police representative Goris Mer. All evidence found by the LAPD, including the Bank Bumidaya checks and the fake passports Oki used, was handed over to the Indonesian National Police. The team led by Goris Mir began tracking down Oki and eventually captured him on January 3, 1995, while he was chatting with his family. After his arrest, Oki was taken by the Indonesian National Police for questioning. Initially, Oki was accused of identity fraud and creating fake passports to return to Indonesia. However, during further interrogation, the charges started pointing toward his involvement in the murders of Kuras, Gina, and his own brother, Harry. The arrest of Oki made big waves and was headline news in various media outlets in Indonesia, particularly in Los Angeles. In the end, Oki confessed to having killed all 3 victims. Oki also rented a storage unit under his brother's name and used a fake name, Chamber Tawakal, to stay under the radar. On top of that, he even asked his mom to send 2 checks to pay for the storage. Imagine his mom had no idea those checks were used to rent a storage unit or to stash bodies, one of which was her own child. You can bet she'd be devastated. I can hear her saying, "I thought you needed money for college, not for running a body storage operation." Oki's confessions to the police were like a roller coaster ride, constantly changing. At first, he said it was Harry who killed Kuras Gobin, but then Oki switched gears and admitted he was the one who took out Kuras and Gina Sultan Aswar. And it gets crazier. Oki claimed he killed his own brother in self-defense, and that it was an accident. Seriously, his story sounds like a soap opera with all these unexpected twists. Oki's first victim was Kuras Gobin Berkandani, an LA resident from India. In 1990, Oki started a laundry business in Woodland with $110,000. But that cash wasn't his, it was from his girlfriend, Rulianti, aka Ipung. Looks like Oki needed a lot of financial support from those around him. In March 1991, Oki sold his laundry business to Kuras Gobin for $100,000. Unfortunately, Kuras Gobin only paid a $20,000 down payment and promised to pay the rest in 5 years, with a 10% annual interest rate. After 5 months, Kuras Gobin still hadn't made any payments and kept claiming he had no money. Oki initially gave him some slack, but everyone's patience has limits. On August 19, 1991, Oki took his brother Eri in his BMW. Don't ask why the fancy car, maybe Oki thought it made him look more convincing, to meet Kuras Gobin. He also brought a pistol registered under Eri's name. When they arrived, Kuras Gobin said he didn't want to pay and wanted to return the laundry business. That's when Oki's patience really ran out. Furious, Oki pulled out the pistol and shot Kuras right in the chest, still in the car. After that, Oki took Kuras's body, bought a big box, and when he got home, he cut off Kuras's hands and wrapped them in layers of plastic. Maybe Oki thought the wrapping had to be as neat as the laundry he sold. After that, Kuras Gobin's body was hidden in a few storage units, including some in San Fernando, before it was finally stored in a Newhall unit up north. Oki's second victim was Gina Sultan Aswar, the youngest daughter of Sultan Aswar, a prominent figure in the Indonesian Air Force and a member of the Indonesian Parliament from 1966 to 1976. Wow, Gina must come from a high-profile family in Indonesia. But hey, don't take that too seriously, just a joke. Gina came to Los Angeles at Oki's urging, who invited her to dive into the business world. One day, Gina sent a $200,000 wire transfer. Plus, to boost her real estate funds, Gina borrowed $20,000 from Oki. Unfortunately, her business didn't go well, and Gina struggled to pay back Oki and Eri. Here's a twist. Instead of repaying the money she owed Oki or Eri, Gina decided to take a vacation in Paris. Seems like Paris was more appealing than paying off debt. Before she left, Oki picked her up at Los Angeles Airport on November 2nd, 1992. On the way, Oki bought some alcohol, and they headed to Oki's rental house in Brentwood for a good time. During their hangout, Gina mentioned she wanted to back out of her real estate business and promised to repay Oki once she got some money from Indonesia. This made Oki really angry, but he tried to keep his cool. He then pretended to take Gina to the garage since it was late. But unexpectedly, Oki grabbed a wrench and struck Gina on the head until she was unconscious and eventually died. After that, Oki put Gina's body in his car, cleaned up the bloodied garage, and the next day, bought a big box to stash Gina's body in. The box was moved around a few times before being stored in a U-Haul storage unit in Northridge at the beginning of 1993. The third victim was Oki's own brother, Harry. In early December 1992, Oki visited his brother's apartment in Santa Monica. They met up, drank alcohol together, and for some unknown reason, a tragic fight broke out between the two siblings. The conversation about their business eventually heated up and led to a fight. And just like a thriller movie with unexpected plot twists, the fight peaked when Oki's brother, Harry, pointed a gun at him. But, surprise, the gun was actually empty. Realizing his brother was just messing around, Oki grabbed a big hammer and smashed it into Harry's head with the grace of a ballet dancer missing a step. The hammer, probably borrowed from a drama studio, shattered Harry's head into pieces. Now, for the next plot twist. Oki, who had apparently planned this all along, chose Harry as his next victim because his brother knew too much about what Oki had done to the previous victims, Kuras and Gina. Harry's body, like the others, was wrapped in layers of plastic and tape and then stuffed into a box. This box was moved around storage units before being found in a U-Haul storage facility in 1993, over a year after Harry's death. And the biggest twist of all? This case didn't come to light until August 10th, 1994, when all three victims' bodies were discovered. At first, there was an attempt to bring Oki back to America for his crimes, but this effort was like hoping for a wingless bird to fly, since there was no extradition treaty between Indonesia and the United States at the time. The case was eventually tried in Jakarta Central Court in June 1996. During the trial, Oki even claimed that his brother Harry was the real culprit and that he was just an innocent suspect in this drama. But eventually, he confessed to all charges, including killing Harry, though he said it was accidental, like when you accidentally change TV channels. The Jakarta Central Court, led by Judge Sukarta, wasn't impressed by Oki's confession and sentenced him to death. Oki tried several times to appeal for clemency during President Megawati Soekarno-Putri's era, but it seems his requests were rejected like a free concert ticket. While waiting for execution, Oki was held in Sipinang Prison, East Jakarta. This case continued to shock both the United States and Indonesia throughout the 1990s. What do you think about the case I covered in this video? From this, we can learn to be cautious with money. Because as seen with Oki's case, lending money can end up being very dramatic. If you have any additional information or other opinions, feel free to share them in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to support the channel's growth, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest videos from my channel. Lastly, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.